Okay, guys, I got kind of a treat for you. It's going to be a fill-in project for me as I'm downtime on certain projects and waiting for parts and so forth to come in. I actually picked this up recently. This was a Facebook Marketplace find. It's a I believe it's a copy. I mean, I know they still sell these. I think Jeg sells them. They're about $600 a piece. It's the old Z28 design. At one point, they put it out as a bow tie intake. This one has the bow tie emblem. It's got the bow tie numbers, but for the life of me, I mean, it has it has a poor imitation of a snowflake on it. I just get the feeling it's a knockoff. And I felt like doing a competition between this real iron bow tie, right? You can see obvious differences. This is rectangular. This is either one, okay? And this has been heavily modified. Now, somewhere in the archives is the whole workup on this manifold. I think I got these runners up to around 265. And what's funny, I mean, if you look at this plenum, versus this plenum, yeah, we know this has had work done to it, but there's no comparison into how big and how deep this is. Another thing to notice is this has the divider goes right up to the edge. This one has a slight dip in the divider, as the original LT1 had. Now, Holly built a very similar manifold to the original Z28, and that had a very deep plenum. The plenum was definitely different, and the runners were really tall. Let's take a look and see how tall these are. Okay, I spun it so they're both the same direction now. Well, they look pretty close. Okay, let's grab a measuring device on that. Okay, not to show you me fumbling around, but they do. If we measure the height of these runners and these runners, they're almost identical. Similar view of the back. Very similar. Now, the obvious difference is this one is designed for 87 and up. Changed bolt angles in the center. These are original straight design. Okay, different plenums, different bolt patterns. One's made of iron, one's made of aluminum. This is a very light manifold. It doesn't weigh anything. And I don't. I mean, I've owned Z28 302 manifolds before, DZ 302 manifolds before, and it just has a different feel. So I'm thinking this is a later reproduction. Probably what you would get if you bought it from Jegs. The good part of that equation is it flowed way better than I was expecting it to. It flows better than most dual planes. I will admit the original Z28 DZ302 intake manifold is a great design. Okay, it originally came with a big carburetor and to only feed 302 cubes. I knew guys that owned that car knew, and they're like, it screamed, but you had to adjust the valves after you got on it, which I thought was interesting. Okay, we could take a look at the rusty dusty one. It does have tons of dirt, and it does have some nice texture in it. Okay, I know exactly which burr I used by that texture, and that is a texture I use when I'm trying to get a lot of CFM but still keep the fuel mixed. So if you looked at that texture under a good magnification, better than this phone will ever do. It's hard to explain, but it's almost like little scallops. Versus the aluminum, which the cores are very snotty. The alignment is not great. And I'm not saying the original GM ones were. They weren't. But this just seems extra sloppy to me. As far as the branch layout, they are obviously different. If we notice how thick the branch is right here, see it goes from a huge plenum and it actually necks down before it goes to the two runners. This is a completely different shape. It's a much narrower plenum, and then the branch gets wider. See, like the Holly one, that branch was the same size. It came out of the very tall plenum, and it didn't get any bigger. And then it went to the branches, which were very similarly shaped. I don't know if we can see anything different on this branch versus this. They look pretty close. There's a big notch here. Okay. Very similar. You can even see this hasn't even been drilled for the oil shield. Okay. And the oil shield is actually a good idea, especially if you're going to keep your heat exchanger crossover active. If you're going to fill it, the shed from Australia had a good way to fill them. He's been doing it for like 40 years. Something easy to put in there. I want to say it was like an RTV. I'm sure the shed will watch this at some point and he'll fill it in. But I want to try what he uses someday. And as far as the runner designs from the top, they're probably slightly different, but not much looking at them. Let's get to the quite impressive flows for such a small plenum, really. I don't remember the plenum being that small, and I know the Holly one that's built off this design had a much bigger plenum. Okay, guys. So, Chevy Z28 LT1 manifold, same manifold, okay? HH is a high H, low H, low H, high H, low H, high H, high H, low H. As a rule, what I say is the high H doesn't have as deep a plenum, okay, and it's tougher to get the air around. Actually, that's one thing I should notice on this. If we look at this plenum, it just doesn't look like a GM plenum. This is like a very squared off, and there's almost no metal here to even put a good radius on it. A spacer would be a huge help on this, and the plenum is going to need just an unbelievable amount of metal taken out in order for me to do with this what I want. What I'm going to be doing with this is it's going to look completely stock on the outside, and I'm going to gut this thing and see what I can get out of it. Unfortunately, it's a very thin casting. There's not a ton of metal I can take out of it, but I want to see what I can do. And I don't have somebody that wants to buy this at this point, so if you're looking for something like this, you can let me know. Just use my email, charlesvideo@gmail.com, and get in touch with me if you're interested in this manifold. But look at how good it was stock. Usually dual planes only flow like 220, so this is flowing 250 and 249.4, 257.4, 260, right? Both of the lowers run a little bit better than the highers, which makes perfect sense. 254, and even from side to side, 253.2, 251.3 are only really low on number 5. We're going to take a look at that runner in a second. We're going to take a look at that runner in a second. And 247.2. So number 5 is this runner. Okay, it's got a sharp turn. First of all, it's the upper H, so it's bad to begin with. It's got that sharp angle, and then it's got to make a hard turn. Okay, there's a lot we can do to this. We can make this plenum follow right along this barrel, and it already kind of does. But we're going to see if we can get a little more flow to that runner. That one's really hurting. Everything else is pretty darn good. So we're going to get working on this, and we're going to see what we can do. I think that's it, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night.